Wuchang Fallen Feather is the latest game to join the growing wave of the Souls-like titles, and honestly, that is no surprise. After the massive successes of Sekiro and Elden Ring, for years developers tried and failed to capture From's magic formula. But lately, things have changed. First with the Lies of P, and now with the new batch of the games that might not be fully blown Souls-likes, but borrow many of the same mechanics, like Blackpink Wukong, Stella Braid, and the first Berserker Kazan, and the many more. On release, Wuchang was met with a pretty cold reception, mostly due to the poor optimization. The first few patches helped improve performance a little bit, but there is still a lot of work to do. It also had some frustrating gameplay issues. Enemies could hit you during the stand-up animation after being knocked down, which is a major cause of the deaths in the boss fights. Fortunately, it is now been fixed, along with the faster healing potion animation. Still, these quirks make it feel like certain mechanics were intentionally made inconvenient just to artificially increase game difficulty. Wuchang Fallen Feather is the debut title from Chinese developer Leenzee, published by 505 Games. The game was first showcased in September 2021, after about a year and a half of development. Originally built in Unreal Engine 4, then upgraded to Unreal Engine 5. You play as Bei Wuchang, a female fighter in the alternative version of the late Ming Dynasty set in the Shu Kingdom. The story begins with you waking up in a cave with no memory of how you get there. The land is suffering from mysterious feathering disease, a plague that drives its victims insane and slowly transforms them into monstrous creatures. For Morse, it's a curse, but for Wuchang, it grants her magical power. Combat in Wuchang Fallen Feather is built around performing perfect dodges. Each perfect dodge grants a mana charge called Skyborn, which you can spend on casting spells and weapon skills. Around the lock-on rectangle is a stagger bar. For some players, the indicator might feel a little bit too small, but the bigger problem is that it restarts if an enemy takes damage for a few seconds. This becomes especially frustrating in boss fights. When a boss jumps away in the middle of the battle to trigger its second phase, it often gives him enough time to restart its stagger. The game also features a madness mechanic. You can gain madness not only by dying, but also manually increasing it at the checkpoint, gaining consumable items. Madness boosts your damage output, but also increases the damage you take. If your madness level gets too high, an inner demon will spawn at the location of your last death to hunt you down. You can lower madness by killing the demon or making sacrifices at specific spots. Spells can be obtained by defeating certain enemies or discovering during exploration. You have 4 quick access slots for spells and consumable items, but with so many available options, managing them can be challenging. Status effects build up so quickly that it's often difficult to find the right consumable in your inventory, especially since the game lacks an active pause. One of those quick slots is always taken by your healing potion, which leaves even less room for flexibility. On the top of that, most spells have casting time that are too long to be practical during the majority of the boss fights. There are 5 weapon types, each with 5 unique weapons, for a total of 25 plus 4 bonus weapons in the deluxe version. Each weapon has a usual light attack, heavy and charged heavy attack, plus weapon skill unique theirs because an charged heavy attack on their back staggers them, opening the window for a critical hit. Some spells are also classified as charged heavy attack, which is good news for one-handed sword users and many other weapons, since the weapon on charged heavy animation attack is quite slow, and it's better to use that spell. One of the most notable features is the skill tree, which replaces traditional character progression systems. It grants not only new skill, point charges, and healing upgrades, but also stat boosts, including rare 5 plus 5 stat nodos. This makes it worth exploring branches outside your preferred weapon type just to grab those valuable bonuses plus 5. Skill are prohibited by exchange currency for tokens, and 3 can be fully respected at any time for free. Extra token can be earned by defeating allied enemies or by performing the correct emote in the certain location. Casting certain spells triggers alacrity, which grants invisibility against a single hit. It is not game changing, but it can save your life in a tight situation. Some discipline skills offer unique or defensive options. For example, the counter skill for longsword lets you parry enemy weapon attack. Parrying the first hit of the combo cancels the entire sequence. But if the first strike misses you and you parry one later one, you will only block that single one hit and the rest will still land on you. The parry window is quite forgiving, though there aren't many encounters with it truly useful. Another defensive system is classes. This occurs when your animation attack syncs perfectly with animation attack of the enemy, nullifying most incoming damage. Dual blades even have a passive blade master skill, which not only nullifies damage in clashes, but also restores some of health. This mechanic feels inconsistent. In some fight it is useless, but in other it is so strong that you can trivialize bosses by spamming attack. There is also tempering mechanics, which let you imbue your weapon with status effects like burning or corruption. You can also restore your health by hitting enemy after tempering your weapon with this. The effect which it gives depends on which acupoint you assign to the tempering item. New acupoints can be unlocked via universal skill tree launch. However, the tempering item must be placed in the quick slot use. Something what many players overlooked entirely and didn't use this mechanic by whole game. One of the Wuchang biggest strengths it is map design, a real ranch interconnected network of parts, and some players have even compared it to an open world. There are plenty of shortcuts, usually leading back to the central hub you will visit often. You can even bypass an entire winter thermal zone via underground passage. The game also hides surprises like bot mobs, living trees, explosive mines, and shrines that will attack you at least you expect. Bosses are generally aggressive, giving you minimal opening to attack, but most of them not have overall large health bar. Humanoid bosses can be often expected by rapidly landing charged heavy attack on their back. That said, there is a few bosses having way higher HP bar or wide area attack effect, making them way more challenging than others. Wuchang Fallen Feather delivered a classic Souls-like experience wrapped in a modern graphic. With an engaging skill tree based progression system, instead of the traditional link it uses a dodge, more reminding of the Bloodborne than Dark Souls. There is also an optional parry mechanic for longsword and blocks for the axes, while the game location each have their own distinct style. My biggest disappointment is the final boss. It's a large monster that initially seems threatening, but after a just few attempts, I realized how easy it was to dodge its attacks. On top of that, there is clash mechanics that work as almost too well against it, turning what should have been an epic battle into a fairly easy win. Can think on the few area bosses that would have made for a far more memorable final boss. That said, I would still recommend Wuchang to anyone who enjoys Souls-like, especially now that a few patches have improved optimization and refined some of the mechanics.